Okay, today we are going to talk about one of the best goal apps out there, Instacart. I'll explain why, and we'll talk about good deal effect going through the purchase flow and reflect a little bit on habits. So let's get shopping, shall we? We're headed to Safeway. What should we get at Safeway? Okay, let's do this. We're going to get some, this is hummus, and I have a goal of $27. I did not click on Safeway thinking that today I need to spend $27. But as soon as I take an action, now they've given me this goal, and I got to tell you, I got to. Who wants to pay for delivery these days? I got to get to 27. So what they're doing is an attainable goal. If they had said something like, Kristen, you have to spend $100, I'd say like, that's insane. Not today, Instacart. But they're giving me something attainable that I can kind of see that I could get to. I'm a little bit motivated to do it, a lot, honestly. And now I'm just going to cruise. So now I only have to spend $17? What? So what they're doing here is making me feel, again, closer to the goal by updating it. So if you've run a marathon or a half marathon, times tend to spike around 2 hours and 4 hours. Is that because everyone just naturally gravitates to 2 and 4? No, it's because when we get closer to the goal, and in this case, we literally run faster. And so it is motivating when you're close to the goal to attain the goal. Apparently, when swimmers are swimming towards the finish line, they swim faster lengths than if they're swimming away from it. And so, from sports it works, but it seems like for e-commerce it does as well. So we're just gonna get to this goal, right? Here we go. We're gonna add some stuff. How close are we now? Free delivery unlocked. Thank you, Instacart. Goal gradient achieved. And savings of $7, mind blown. So let's move on to that good deal effect. So the good deal effect is really this idea that, kind of said plainly, we just don't want to feel like we're getting screwed. Thaler has kind of the study here, which is like you're buying beer on the beach. You don't want to, if you're going to the convenience store versus the fancy hotel, you're more willing to pay a higher amount for the fancy hotel, but you would feel like you're getting screwed if you're going to get the beer from the convenience store and it's the same price. So we want to feel like we're getting a good deal. And this is kind of the essence of discounts. You slash the prices and then, your future self won't regret it because you didn't make a mistake. You don't want to feel like an idiot when you're purchasing. And so in general, when we think about discounts working or not working, one of the reasons they work is this idea that you're getting a good deal. And so if you don't want to discount, you still probably want to represent this somewhere in your website or your e-commerce flow that people aren't making a mistake on your product, that they are getting, this is a steal, you're getting a great deal. And Instacart seems to have figured that out and has slashed prices. So I feel really good about my Dunkin' roast ground coffee choice. So we're going to go to the checkout now and see how really they do good deal effect because, of course, they're going to ask me more if I want more. We'll say continue, didn't get me there. We'll choose a delivery time. By the way, this is also just very impressive that they can get stuff, full grocery thing in an hour to me. That means somebody really has to be ready. I don't know if I could go shopping for the things I want in an hour. And so we'll click continue here, standard. Okay, this is kind of what we're interested in, is how they're positioning all of these fees. So in one world, this is kind of like Ticketmaster. You've got the tip, you've got the delivery fee, you've got the service fee. Tip's not a fee, but it's additional from what you would get if you went to the grocery store. They're framing it in a way that makes me, again, feel good about what I'm getting. So the delivery fee was the $3.99, and now they're slashing it. A service fee was $5, and now they're slashing it. They add up my total savings. So again, I feel good. It's a big number of savings. And then they're basically saying, now you get even more savings with savings from fees. I don't really understand how those two differences are, but let's assume these are kind of the same, kind of not. But I feel good because they're not calling my attention. The saliency is not on how much I'm paying, it's how much I'm saving. And this is just quite clever. They're really catching my attention and making me feel a little bit better about this purchase. Now, we could also say it's maybe making me spend a little bit too much. That would be the argument, but they're very, very good at it. Let's wrap by discussing habits. So it turns out that past behavior predicts future behavior. Netflix has seen this in their algorithm that it is most efficient for them to get me to rate movies that I previously liked and watched and liked. And that is better at driving the algorithm than looking at what other people have watched and liked. My past behavior is going to predict my future behavior. This is also what an exercise study found by which one of the bigger predictors of if you exercise is if you exercised yesterday. So I am less likely to exercise if I did not exercise yesterday and more likely if I did, which just speaks to the idea that we are creatures of habit and we may do the same thing time and again. But the reality is life would be pretty boring if all we did was the same thing that we did yesterday. We're going to have to change it up a little bit, right? And that's kind of what Spotify has tried to nail or talks a lot about nailing, which is you're listening to pop country. I do like pop country. And maybe you could, do a little bit of folk music. Like, could we push you a little bit into folk music? And so for them, they use this algorithm called nearest neighbor or some machine learning offshoot of that and try to nudge my behavior, my preferences, my likes a little bit by showing me things that are generally close to pop country. Now, I just wish that Instacart would try to do that, right? So my eating behavior, while past predicts future, and you're probably going to get the most upside from the buy it again, how could you get me to be a little bit more interested in other foods? So, if I have egg bites, is there another product that's somewhat similar to this that could be, maybe that signals that I'm in the protein family and want to try something that is more protein heavy? So in general, when we're shopping, especially when we're online, it's a search behavior. It's not a browse behavior. When we're in the grocery store, it may be a browse behavior and you may be able to pick up something and say, oh, that looks really interesting. Online, it's probably much more of a search behavior. And so they do have a harder challenge here where I know what I want, I'm coming in for it. And that's good and bad, right? It's probably good for our health that we're not going to be browsing in the sugary cereal aisle or the chocolate aisle. But it also means that maybe I'm not going to pick up that kind of random piece of fruit that I've never seen before and try it out, right? And so this exposure to other things is good for our general preference creation. Like, it's hard to have a preference for something if I never can see it. And so I do worry that, if we know that we like something, that's what we're going to stick to, and Instacart is going to deliver that. And the hope and maybe the opportunity is to help people explore and maybe not exploit their preferences as they're shopping. So with that, I'll go and buy what I bought yesterday.